and privileged to be back at MagicCon. I was here some years ago, and it was without a shadow of a doubt the best Comic-Con I've ever attended. It was wonderful, and I'm so pleased and so grateful to be back. So it's so good to see you all.
Does this mean you have any specific stories from the last time you've been here, or just the general vibe of it all?
I don't drink anymore, but I was drinking then. Yes, and for anybody who was there at that Comic-Con, was anybody there at that Comic-Con? Hey! Good to see you guys again. So I made, as you may remember, a huge mistake. I said to people on one of these panels, I said, listen, if you see me down in the bar, feel free to buy me a beer. And they did. And being Irish, it's a sin, it's actually a sin for an Irishman to leave a half-full glass of beer. You have to finish the beer. It comes from the famine, when you didn't have anything, so you ate it. So, oh my God, on the Saturday morning, I think I was as hungover as I've ever been in my entire life. The thing about German beer is it's so easy to drink. But after about 7 of them, you stand up and you realise you don't have any legs. Someone has actually stolen your legs. So, but it was such a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I think what makes this Comic-Con so incredibly special is that all you guys are here. At 6 o'clock you don't go off, and we're all here at the same hotel. It's almost like being part of a family. It really is. And it's such a special place in my heart. I tell everybody that the best Comic-Con I was ever at was MagicCon, and I'm so thrilled to be back.
I'm just so very happy to have you back, and I feel like we all meet at breakfast trying to figure out the coffee machine, right? That's what keeps us all together. Like a little follow-up to the beer, because I feel like the American guests are always very unexpecting of how strong the German beer is, but Irish beer is quite strong as well, no?
Well, we have Guinness, which is it's a lovely, lovely beer, Guinness. You need to develop a taste. You need to develop a taste. But the thing about the German beer is it's so flavoursome. And it is genuinely, as you know, it's so easy to drink. So, no, the German beers are absolutely fantastic. And even now that I don't drink anymore, I would still have a non-alcoholic beer. And the German non-alcohols are gorgeous. They're absolutely delicious.
Okay, because I personally also don't drink, and I never order a non-alcoholic beer because I just don't like the flavor, but that's the perfect option if you try it.
If you don't like the flavor, but if you do like the flavor, the non-alcoholic beers in Germany are fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
So, are there any favorites you want them to buy you this time around?
No, Jesus, no, really no. Okay, I'm fine. Alright, I'm fine. But thank you for thinking about me.
So just a cheer.
I get free coffee, that's all I need, so really. Don't buy me anything.
You'll just be here all week and just chugging whatever people are buying you. Okay, just in general, just so you remember, we're open to all your questions. We'd love to hear whatever you want to ask. There's microphones there. I think this time they actually put a dot on the floor so you know where to stand. Because in general, you need to just put the microphone way too close to your face for comfort.
Right here.
Very like this. And then we can hear you perfectly. So if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Because this
also bear in mind that I'm older now, so my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I can't remember last week actually, so bear that in mind. No, I would be delighted to answer any questions whatsoever about what was perhaps certainly one of, if not the best job I've ever done. Hello, good morning.
Oh, perfect. Hi. Oh.
Nope. Oh.
We got you. You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is a general one. Throughout your career, what would you say was your most memorable moment?
Most memorable what?
The
Most memorable moments, filming or...
I've been quite fortunate in my career, in the sense that I have been lucky enough to get some absolutely great roles. Playing Antigonus in the film Alexander at the time was a great role. I didn't realise, I don't think any of us realised, that it was going to turn out to be a terrible film. Because at the time it was such an incredible experience. I have played real life characters, which has been a real pleasure. In Alexander I played the one-eyed General Antigonus, and he was a real character. So I would do research on those characters. I've been lucky enough to play all sorts of different characters throughout my career. Yeah, Sir Meryn. I mean, you know, it was the role that, you know, it was the biggest show in the world. It was just crazy. You know, season one was great. You know, got a job. And funny enough, I auditioned for season 1 of Game of Thrones, and I didn't get the role I auditioned for. And I was really angry because they cast somebody from Scotland, and they were flying him over to Northern Ireland, putting him up in a 5-star hotel, and I was 5 bloody minutes away from the studio. It's like, guys. So they then called me in again to audition for Sir Meryn. And I got the role I auditioned for and didn't get was Jory Cassell, Ned Stark's right-hand man, who died in episode 5, season 1. 5 years later, I'm still playing Sir Meryn Trant, so it really, really worked out for the best. Season 1 was great. You know, sat down to watch the show when it came out, and I'm watching it with my wife, and I'm thinking, this is actually pretty good. It's a good show. And I didn't come in until episode 8. So I got to watch the first 7 episodes, and I didn't have any scripts, didn't know what the story was, knew nothing about it, hadn't read the books. And I was thinking, this is a pretty good show. Season 2, I walked on set the first day of season 2, and David Benioff, the series producer, the showrunner, said, you might have heard you were dying this season. And I was like, no, didn't hear that. He said, well, you're not, don't worry. And then he said, you are going to die. And he said, and Arya is going to kill you. And I didn't tell anybody, for 3 years, not even my wife. Didn't tell anybody. So season 2, you know, it was you know, really good. We were reading the scripts, and said, yeah, this is a good show. Season 3, there was a real buzz. Because we got on set at the start of season 3, and they had the DVD sales for season 1 and season 2, and they had gone through the roof. They were selling like crazy. Season 4, you couldn't walk down the street. You literally couldn't walk down the street without someone. And it was wonderful. It was truly wonderful. You know, for an actor to get a role that is in many ways iconic and recognised, whether it's a good character or in my case a very, 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 very bad character, the trick was to make him human, to make him even more terrifying. And to get a role like that was just magic. If I never work again, I was in Game of Thrones for 5 years. And my death in Game of Thrones, to this day, was the most expensive individual death filmed on the whole show. So yeah, I would have to say Game of Thrones. It was so exciting to be a part of it. It was so exciting, it was such a thrill to know that half the world was watching this show. It was so exciting. Didn't pay much, but it was exciting. I wasn't one of the top 10 earners that were getting a million an episode. But yeah, Sir Meryn was, to date, my favourite. You always hope that there's another role out there for you, that there's another role, that's what you live for as an actor. You live for that challenge. You live for that challenge. And, you know, I'm a jobbing actor. I'm not a multi-millionaire, you know, I'm not part of the Marvel franchise. I work for money. And it's been, I have to say, I'll be honest with you, it's been for me and a lot of people in my profession, in Ireland and the United Kingdom, it has been a terrible year. And most actors will say the same thing. It has been an absolutely terrible year for the entertainment industry in the United Kingdom and in Ireland. So you just live for the next job. And hopefully there'll be another one out there for me soon. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
But that also means that maybe sometimes you don't get to be super picky about who you're going to play next, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Most actors will tell you exactly the same thing. Unless they're part of that very, very lucky top percent that can pick and choose what roles they get. Most actors, 95, 97, 98% of actors will take whatever they're offered because it's a job and it puts food on the table, and it pays your mortgage and it pays your bills. And when you're not working as an actor, you go and do other work. I do other work whenever I'm not working as an actor to pay the bills. I've got 2 kids at university and I have to pay the bills. So yeah, no, there is no picking and choosing. If you're lucky enough, because it is, so much of it is luck. Talent, yeah, of course you need to be talented to get work. But even, there's 100 talented actors out there going for exactly the same role. So it's a tough profession, and unless you are so determined to be an actor that nothing else will do for you, then don't do it. Don't do it. I would tell anybody, don't be an actor, unless nothing else will do. I regret, I'm 60 now, and if I'd known at 25, 26, what I was going to be at 60, I wouldn't have done it. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have done it. I would have done something else. I mean, I qualified as a lawyer, a trial lawyer back in Belfast. I would have done that. I would have done something else. It's a tough profession, and you take what you can get.
Especially since you just said that even being on the biggest show in the world might not pay the biggest paycheck.
No, it didn't, because we were all local casting. I mean, in the top sort of 10, 15, maybe top 20 actors were getting a lot of dough. The actors down below that were just on a weekly rate. Ian McElhen, and some fabulous actors, but that was just the nature of the business. And, you know, if you didn't agree the next season, if you wanted more money, and they said, well, you're getting that, take it or leave it was exactly what they said. Take it or leave it. And you took it because it was work. But it wasn't. There were so many benefits to being part of the Game of Thrones family. You were taken to wonderful locations. You were put up in lovely, wonderful hotels. Hotels like this, you know, you were put up naturally in some of the best hotels in Dubrovnik, in Malta, wherever the location happened to take you. And it was fun, and it was a family. Because by season 3, you knew all the crew, you knew all the cast, you know, you knew everybody, you knew you were part of something, and it was still a privilege to be part of it. Funnily enough, once I finished Game of Thrones, this was the drawback. Many jobs I couldn't get because the producer just said, you're that guy, you're that guy, you're the paedophile. And, you know, people will remember you know, you're that guy. So there were a lot of roles I actually didn't get, which was a bit unfortunate. I think the public are more smarter than them. I think they're more sensible than them. I think we've got better taste than them. They know I'm an actor. I'm not that guy. At least I fucking hope I'm not.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. You've been waiting a while. Hi.
Hello there. Hi.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank
It's great to
you.
have you back. Speaking of roles you did get, you were in a music video called Landslide, and you were in heavy armor, running around with a horse. I was wondering, could you talk about that? How was the experience? How did you get to be in a music video, and why did the horse hate you so much?
Sorry, I didn't quite get all of that.
I also didn't get which show are you talking about?
A music video you did called Landslide by Beattie.
The music video?
Yes.
Oh Jesus, yes! Oh Jesus, yes! That music, the only music video I've ever done. Oh my God!
Congratulations, it was a good video.
Landscape.
Yes.
Yes! Oh my God! That bloody music video. That was shot in Kazakhstan. No, right, just picture this, okay? They had this idea, right, we want you to play like a bit like the night out of Game of Thrones. We're going to pay you money. We're going to fly you out to Kazakhstan. And what they didn't tell me was that they were going to take me up a mountain with no oxygen. I mean, it's like fucking Everest. It was freezing, and I had these canvas boots on. I literally thought I was going to die. I'm not joking you, my heart was going like this. I couldn't breathe because I was doing all these things through snow and stuff. I was freezing. And I thought, I'm going to die on this mountain in Kazakhstan for a fucking music video. So yeah, no, that was kind of interesting. And the other thing about it was the fucking horse. Do you know, some horses are wonderful. I love horses. I've been riding horses since I was 7. This was the worst fucking horse I had. It was one of those horses, yeah, I'm gonna have this year. And it threw me off 3 times. Like, even trying to get on it. It was awful, it was terrible. They actually had to do one of the sequences with me on top of a truck, pretending to be on the horse, because they couldn't control the horse. So yes, that music video. Oh my God, it was truly an awful experience. I mean, in the worst possible way. The only funny thing was Jonathan Price, who turned out to be a very good friend, lovely man, Sparrow the High Sparrow, fabulous in season 5 and 6 of Game of Thrones. He was a fan of the band. And the day after the video was released and the song was released, he phoned me. He said, "You're in that video." I said, "You like that band? I thought you were like a pensioner. Why are you so clued into this wonderful band, you know?" But yeah, no, I do remember it. Looking back on it was funny. At the time, oh my God, it was not funny at all. It was one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. 2 days of absolute hell. But I'm glad you liked the video.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fabulous hotel in Malta, to be honest.
Oh my God, it was truly terrible. If I'd known what I was getting into, I wouldn't have done it, and I was desperate for the money, but I wouldn't have done it. I actually thought I was going to die on that fucking mountain top. I really did. I was so cold, and there was no oxygen. I literally couldn't catch a breath, and they didn't have like any oxygen. And I honestly thought I was going to die. I said, "God, is the life insurance paid up?" "Yes, the life insurance, it's okay. Family will get the money, that's all right."
And I feel like with acting, you always think, oh yeah, they were just doing this for fun, but most of the time you're kind of living through the situation. Actually.
No, I mean, I remember we did, Alexander was the perfect example, okay? So we did a boot camp, 19 days in the Moroccan desert under Dale Dye, where we were training to be Macedonian soldiers. And the first day, literally the first day, we went in, we dumped our bags in the tent, and we went out and we started doing fight stunts and practice stunts. And the guy was supposed to run at you, and he was to move right or move left, and you throw him left or right onto a crash pad. This fucking moron came straight at me and put his head straight into my face. So, inside of my mouth was split open. And, right, I have to get that sorted out. And I said, "Well, is there a doctor on because Macho Man here oh, I'm playing a general, I have to be tough. I can't be a wuss, I can't bleed and go to hospital. I said, get him to stitch me up here. He doesn't have any anesthetic. Stitch me up. What a fucking idiot, right? Really? So, he puts 3 stitches into me, in the inside of my cheek, and it was fucking sore. Oh Jesus, it was sore. And then during the rest of the day, those 2 of the stitches came out. And that night I had to go back, no, take me back to the doctor. No, we'll get you to the hospital. No, take me back to the doctor. And he put another 2 stitches in, and he was drunk. I had to wake him up. He was in this wee Volkswagen camper van. I had to wake him up, and he was kind of drunk, so he put the needle in, and he pulled the rope the whole fucking way out. Ah! He said, sorry, I'm half asleep. I said, I'm wide awake. Goodness sake! So he put another 2 stitches in, and by this stage, my face is out to here, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, this shouldn't be happening to me. I'm a fucking actor, this shouldn't be. And I went back to Dale Dye, and he said, right, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to get you into a hospital, get you some painkillers. And I looked at him and I said, Captain, because it was a proper military camp. I said, Captain, you will carry my cold fucking dead body out of this boot camp. Good night, sir. And I went back to my tent and I got into my sleeping bag and I cried myself to sleep. But for 6 days I couldn't eat. My face was literally out to here. I couldn't eat anything. I could only drink. And they had me on Voltaren, painkillers. And I was taking 24 of them a day. That's how sore it was. So, yeah, when you do stuff like this happens. It shouldn't happen. But it did, and you had to deal with it.
And I mean, in the middle of a boot camp, so I assume you've been running and fighting all day anyway.
Yeah. It was a full military boot camp. And later on I read stories about these guys who did 4 days boot camp for Saving Private Ryan, and I went, fucking 4 days, you boys. 4 days, fuck off. We did 19 days. 19 days in the desert. I lost 2 stone. It was a proper, full-on military training boot camp. And Colin Farrell still says to this day that it was the most intense yet most bonding experience he's ever had on a film set, that particular period of time. So, yeah, that goes into after Game of Thrones, season 5, I'm going to Bravos, and I get down to the jetty, and I decided at the start of season 5, because my costume kept getting heavier every year. So they would change the plastic to real brass. When the money started coming in, the budget money started coming in, everything started to get better. The battles got better. Everything got better. But my suit kept getting heavier and heavier. And I thought, season 5, I'm going to find out what this fucking thing weighs. So I went in my underwear with my scales, weighed myself, could lose a few pounds, put on the full rig, weighed myself again, and the suit, helmet, sword, and everything else was 28 kilos. 28 kilos, that's what we were carrying around every day. And then, of course, when you were out in Dubrovnik, the sun was hitting the brass, and it was heating you up inside, and basically cooking you. So, I lost about half a stone a week when I was wearing that outfit. But we're sailing into Bravos, and we're coming in on the rowing boat. And I get down to the jetty, and I look at the boat, and I said, David, the director, not a brilliant director, one of the best directors I've ever worked with. David? I said, there's 5 seats on that boat. He went, yeah. I said, there's 6 of us. 4 of them are rowing the boat. Roger, makes Tyrell, he's going to be sitting down. Where am I going to be? He said, you're going to be standing at the back. Standing at the back of a rowing boat in 28 kilos of armour in a 50-foot deep harbour in Split, where twice a day they release all the town's sewage into. Yeah, picture that if you can.
So you're not only gonna drown, you're drowning.
I'm gonna drown in shit, yeah. I said, just on the off chance that I go over the fucking side, I said, I'm going straight to the bottom. And I can't get out of this. I'm like, who's going to get me out? And he pointed to this guy sitting over there, and there's a scuba diver sitting having a cigarette, looking at me like, fuck's sake. He said, that's Croatian Special Boat Services. He's one of the top 5 divers in Europe. He'll get you out. I said, how's he going to? He said, he's going to give you oxygen, and he's got a knife, and he's going to cut you out of your. Okay.
So you're just sitting at the bottom of the sea waiting?
Yeah, basically for him to come, yeah. So I'm standing, the boat's like this, it's not even a flat surface, it's like a proper rowing boat. Standing like this, at the end of this fucking boat, and the oarsman catches a crab and the boat starts to go like this. And I grab myself, I go over the side, you're fucking coming with me, mate. So we rowed about 30 metres, and we got to the harbour, and we got off the boat, and that's when I'm facing backwards, so that when I turn round, Aria suddenly sees me, and that's the first time she's seen me since Syria. And we got off and cut, and Roger wasn't doing it again. Roger said, that's it, I'm not getting on that boat again. Because if it does go over, they're going to get you, and I'm going to fucking drown, because they'll be so worried about getting you when you're down at the bottom. He said, I'm not doing that again. They didn't use it. They didn't use it. In the final cut, they didn't fucking use it. Actor's life for me.
That's amazing.
Good morning, sir.
Hi.
Hi? Oh yeah, I'm there. Talking about the misery of acting, perhaps would it be better to go back to being a lawyer? And can you tell us how it came to be that you are one?
Well, everything changes, as any parent out here knows. Everything changes when you have kids. It's not about you anymore, it's about the kids. And I have 2 at university, and I pay as much as I possibly can toward their rent, whatever. And I just looking back on it now, I think at the age of 60, which I am now, I have the talent, I have the intelligence, and I have the credentials to be worth a lot more than I'm worth, quite frankly. It's I'm sorry, but it is as simple as that. If I'd gone into the law, I'm pretty certain my brother is a fabulous lawyer back in Belfast. And he's worth plenty of money. Now, he's worked very, very hard for it. And he's the best at his field. He's the best at what he does. So he deserves it. But I think if I'd gone into something like that, I wouldn't be worried about money the way I am now, every week. My wife and I, she's a full-time clinical psychologist. You know, we live like most other people. We live month to month. We're 3 months away from not meeting the mortgage. We're 3 months away, like so many families today in today's society. And, you know, not people who are, you know, there are many people where I come from, and they don't do work. They don't work because they get benefits. They don't need to work. And they get their money paid to them. We work. We would be regarded, I suppose, as middle class. Is that what they call it here? It's what they call it back home. And we're getting crucified. The middle classes everywhere, in every country in Europe, are getting absolutely bloody crucified. And what astonishes me, okay, this is something that absolutely astonishes me, because I have seen, I'm very concerned about what's happening in the world, as I'm sure everybody here is. If you come to a Comic-Con, I'm pretty certain you're all fucking decent people. Because a Comic-Con, if the world was like a Comic-Con, we wouldn't have the worries we have in this world. The universal acceptance. The universal acceptance, the love, the friendship, the acceptance of people. Just no judgment, just love, for want of a better word. And if the world were like a Comic-Con, then we wouldn't have the problems. But we have all seen the problems. We have seen a shift in politics. We have seen politics shift to the right in countries, and you know, we have seen the rise of the mediocre. Donald Trump is mediocre
At best.
Nigel Farage, a British politician, is a mediocre man, and in any other time would not be given any credence. It never ceases to amaze me that half of the American public voted for Donald Trump. It never ceases to amaze me. And it terrifies me what he is doing. I mean, we've all seen it. What I find astonishing about our governments, all our governments and our countries, is you have people, right? They are worth tens or hundreds of billions, and they don't get taxed at all. I mean, they don't fucking pay any tax. Whatever shelters they've got, it's just, if they paid 10% tax, they'd still have hundreds of billions of dollars. And people wouldn't be starving. In my local grocery shop, there are food donation baskets. We live in a world where people are starving in Western society. And you give groceries at your local shop to feed people. Children are going hungry. Children are suffering. What sort of a fucking world do we live in? So, and I think, you know, I don't want to lecture, I don't want to preach, but I am just one of the people who live month to month, like I'm sure, you know, all of you out there. We live month to month, and we don't know what's going to happen next, and it's terrifying. It is terrifying. So yes, if I had the choice to do it all over again, I wouldn't have done it. I would have done something else. I think Dustin Hoffman once said, for all his success, it wasn't worth the pain and suffering he went through at the start of his career, the constant rejection.
But good for us that you chose this way you did. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, listen guys, I didn't mean to get serious there, but sometimes you just start thinking about things. And you think about the world we live in, and you know, as I say, I come here, and this is a place of love, and this is a place of happiness, and I just think, Christ, why can't it just be like that outside? It's so easy. It's so easy. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. So I didn't mean to lecture, and I didn't mean to get on my high horse, and my apologies for doing this.
I mean, I feel like it's always good to get that perspective, because for us, of course, people are that guy from that super famous show, right? We don't know the reality of what it is to live that job, so that's always nice to get a little bit to know more about our guests. But since you've been so serious now, maybe let's try to get very unserious for a little second. You mentioned that you're not one of the Marvel superheroes or whatever. If you had the chance to, like, they offer you whichever part you want in whichever franchise, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I'd be the one that controlled the rats. So, this is a story I've wanted to tell, and it's one of the funniest stories from Game of Thrones. Now, to put it in its context, I fucking hate rats. Okay? It's a childhood incident. I was 7 years old, I was in the coal bunker, a rat was there, and I thought it was jumping at my throat. It wasn't. I know as an adult it was jumping to escape. But it just happened to jump very close and it brushed past my ear. And I felt a rat. And I have had a fear and a phobia of rats ever since. Season 5. Episode 1. We're in Qyburn's laboratory. 2 people have got a dwarf's head that's not Tyrion. Because Cersei has put a reward out for Tyrion's head. We're filming in an old ancient castle, the dungeon of an ancient castle, on the coast, the Northern Irish coast, up in Antrim. And there's, flames hanging from the walls, stakes, flames, it's all very dim. Things hanging from the ceiling, bottoms, weird stuff going on. Right, and you stand there, and you two guys stand in front, and Lena, you stand over there, and camera rolling, and I look round, and there's a fucking grey rat in a rope cage 6 inches from my ear. Ah! Hold it on, what's the problem? There's a fucking rat in a rope cage! Right! Can we have the rat wrangler on set? The what? The rat in Game of Thrones. Can you have a fucking rat wrangler? So on comes this guy, and you know he's the rat wrangler because he looks like the rat's dad. He said, there's a fucking rat. He said, that's a very well trained rat. Well, I'm a very well trained person, but I'm fucking like rats. He said, can you keep your voice down? You might upset the rat. I might upset. On come David and Dan, the showrunners. David puts his arm around, he says, I said, the fucking rat. He said, look, we'll get it in 2 takes. Okay. 6 takes later. 6. During one take, I at Sir Meryn, with an arrogant sneer, I looked with disdain at the rat, and the rat looked back at me and started to chew the rope in the fucking cage. So, end of the 6th take. Right, moving on, and I'm straight out of there. And Benioff comes up and he puts his arm around my shoulder and he says, we got it on the 2nd take. You bastard, yeah. They did 4 takes, just an actual close-up of me, just... That's my rat story. It was like that. For all the seriousness of some of the storylines, it was such a fantastic time. You became friends with people, and those friendships linger to this day. And you were part of something very, very special. But there were an awful lot of laughs. At the start of season 3, I think it was, Nikolai did a Photoshop of himself where he had a shaved head, and he sent it to David and Dan saying, this is what we're going to do for season 3, this is going to be my new look. And David and Dan were fucking horrified. They were phoning away people to find out how they could get a wig made because they thought he'd shaved all his hair off. It was just full of practical jokes, full of fun. It was just the most amazing fun. It was great.
Speaking of shaving, I heard something about you saying that you had like a little nightmare about a shaving incident.
Every single time. Every time I do theatre, I have the actor's nightmare. I walk on stage, I don't know what the play is, I don't know what my lines are. Someone hits me with a line, and I just look at them thinking, I know what I'm doing. Every time I do theatre. Every season in Game of Thrones, every single one, I would have the shaving nightmare. That I would be very, very carefully trimming my beard, and I'd left the head off, and there was a big stripe of clean shaven skin right there. But it was always that sound. I don't know why, it was always that sound. And I had that nightmare 3 or 4 times every season. Usually at the start of the season. And it would be just, that was the nightmare. And I only stopped having the nightmare when the wonderful makeup artist Kevin Alexander said, if that happens, we can glue hair on. It'll be fun. And I stopped having the nightmare.
Because I was about to ask, there is a whole makeup and wardrobe team. Could they have just like patched it up or something?
Yeah, they absolutely could have. And once he told me that, I didn't have the nightmare anymore. It's amazing how your subconscious works. So, yeah.
Oh, we have another question.
Excellent. Hi.
We're waiting for the
Can we have a voice?
It's always the light from above and then the mic works.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, thank you for coming. My question is,
what part of acting do you love most and which one not?
I genuinely think it's a challenge. For example, I love playing real life people, and I've done several in my time, where you don't want to do an impersonation, but you do want to get to the essence of that character. And you need to sound and look enough like that character that people say, yeah, that's... I remember there's a very famous, stroke infamous politician in Northern Ireland, Jerry Adams, was part of the Sinn Féin that actually led the Sinn Féin team during the peace process. Him and Martin McGuinness were the two sort of main guys. And I had the chance to play Jerry Adams, and it was very, very important to me to get him right, because he was so recognisable. He was so recognisable all over the world, but his voice was very specific as well. So I actually had a brace made for my mouth to recapture his mouth, and that allowed me to closer intonate to what he was. And he had a very specific way of speaking. He would, well, for years, the British government have to know there is a war in Ireland. So he had that where he would put in these pauses. So I studied him, and to get him right, I studied him. The same with another controversial figure in Northern Ireland that I played in a TV series, Mo, about Mo Mullen. During the peace process, I played a loyalist terrorist by the name of Michael Stone. And again, it was very, very important not just to look like it, but to get the essence of the character. So I think something Gabriel Byrne, the wonderful, wonderful Irish actor who I unfortunately have not yet worked with, but would love to work with, he said, get the truth. Find the truth of the character. Because if you get the truth, your character will be believable. And whatever character you play, Sir Meryn Trant, the truth about Sir Meryn was he didn't think that he was a bad guy. He thought he was inadequate. And he knew he was inadequate. And he hid that inadequacy through his arrogance. And that's where the look came from. And that's where the voice came from. That slimy voice, like he was looking down his nose. That's where all those mannerisms came from. Whenever I found out, and I didn't find out at the start of season 5 about his private side, they phoned me at the start of the season to say, Valar Morghulis, your time has come. They phoned me at the start of season 5, and they said, your time has come. And I knew my time had come because David had told me in season 2 that Arya was going to kill me. And I knew, I'd got the first 4 episodes, and the 4th episode had me going to Bravos, and I knew he was in Bravos, so I knew it was coming. But they told me 2 or 3 things. They said, 1, you're going to have an absolutely spectacular day. And it was. There was some way to go. They said it's going to be in the last episode of the season. Nobody wants to die in episode 4. We all want to die in episode 10. We want to make it to the end of the season finale. And 3, they said you're going to see a really nasty side to Sir Meryn. And I thought, right, I'm going to get to kill somebody popular. That's, little did I fucking know. He's a pedophile. Oh my God. And I got this script, and I was, honestly, absolutely horrified by it. I got it on the 11th of August, and we filmed those scenes on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of November. And from the 11th of August until the 12th of November, I didn't think about anything else apart from those 2 scenes. The one in episode 9 where he says too old, and the one in episode 10 where he's beating the girls. And I goes, there goes the aftershave commercial. That's fucked. I'm not going to get that now. And I thought about nothing else, and I thought, how am I going to make this monster human? How am I going to bring this to life? And I thought about nothing else, and every single look I had designed. When I first see Aria, and I think, do I know her? And I look down at the floor, and I look away, and I look back at her. And then they bring the young girl in to distract me. Every look they put in the final cut. It was the most generous edit I've ever had. My backstory was, and when they brought the young girl out, the 12, and she was a wee angel. They were all angels, all the girls, of course. I mean, we cast absolute angels to beat, you know.
To make it more believable.
Oh, absolutely. So she was an absolute angel, but when I look at her, there's a moment just at the start when I see her where this look of absolute agony and pain is on my face, and then I go completely dead. My backstory was the character was abused as a child, and the abused became the abuser. And that was the backstory. That's what I used to make him as believable as possible, because you had to believe that this monster liked inflicting pain on children, which is something. I've got 3 kids at home. If somebody hurt one of my kids, I'd take a month to kill them. I wouldn't just kill them then and there. I would take a month over it. Somebody hurt one of my children. So like most people, that's what I feel. I honestly believe that if you're walking in the bar and there's a child on a high stool and the child falls over backwards, your instinct, before you can even think, is to save, is to reach out and protect. And people who don't have that are not human and should be allowed to live, in my own personal opinion, but that's just my personal, very extreme opinion. But when playing a person like that, you have to make them believable. As an actor, it is your job to make this horror human. And that's hopefully what I did. Hopefully. I think I nailed it, actually. I really do, because I do think that people were absolutely delighted when my character died. I remember whenever, thank you so much. I remember when the show came out, they were filming an audience who were all watching it together, like there were about 50 or 60 people, and they were filming their reaction to my death scene. So they were all exactly the same. Ooh, ow, ooh, ow, yeah! Which was very, very gratifying. As an actor, when you've done your job right,
Okay.
when someone says, I hated you, that's music to my ears.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely speaks to how well you portrayed the character, that everybody universally really hated you.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, that is, it's very easy to play it. You know, we've all seen bad guys and they're very two-dimensional. I wanted this guy to be three-dimensional. I wanted people to hate him for a reason. And I wanted people to be horrified by him, and I wanted people to be afraid of him. Because that was the character, that was the brief. Funny, the biggest compliment, I'll get you in 2 seconds, my love. The biggest compliment I ever received playing Meryn Trant was from George Martin. And I met him at the premiere, the season 5 premiere in San Francisco. And he said, since you've been playing Meryn, I look at him different. And I don't know if he actually meant that or he was just being nice to me. But I'll take it, either which way. Either which way, I'll take that compliment and I'll keep that one. That was one to be cherished. That was lovely. Yes, my love. Sound, please.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Hi Ian, so nice to have you here. And also adding to what you were explaining right now. So Game of Thrones is very famous for these unexpected deaths and also spectacular deaths. And And aside from obviously Sir Meryl's death, which we were all waiting for actually, do you have another favorite death of another character in the season?
I think there were so many, as you said, and the surprise. I mean, so many people didn't see Ned Stark coming. You know, have you just killed the hero? Have you just killed the main guy? You know, I mean, it was unprecedented television, and that's what made it wonderful. There were so many memorable deaths. I thought the Viper. I thought Pedro Pascal. I thought his death was again so unexpected. He had won, for God's sake. He won. He had won, and he made the fatal mistake that Bronn said. He let his concentration lapse for 1 second, and he was dead. That was really. And I arrived in Dubrovnik. I was filming the next day, and I arrived in Dubrovnik that morning that they were filming that fighting. And there was an Oriental stuntman, and I think, I might be wrong, but I think it was the same guy that was in the toilet fight in Mission Impossible with Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise. I think it was the same guy, I might be wrong. But this Oriental stuntman, he was doing the twirls and the fights and stuff like that. And you know, you'd watch him in the rehearsal and you think, fuck, that's incredible. Then Pedro stepped in, and Pedro did it almost as well. Just almost as well. Pedro was just as good when he stood in to do it himself. He was fantastic. And a lovely. If anybody likes Pedro Pascal, you're right. He's gorgeous. In every way. He's fucking gorgeous. And I love him.
And that's always great to hear when the people
yes,
like
it's always good to hear. You know, I don't like hearing about actors who are complete arseholes, to be honest with you. My wife is a clinical psychologist. She helps people with problems and she saves their lives. One of my best friend is head of accident and emergency hospital in Belfast, and he saves lives every day. We get paid a lot of money to dress up and play cowboys and Indians. Please, don't take yourself too seriously. Please. It really irritates me whenever people take themselves too seriously. It genuinely irritates me. It really, really does. And we've all heard stories about actors whose behaviour you could call into question.
And to be honest, I like hearing those stories, kind of, because it's such candid gossip, but obviously it's also disappointing.
I suppose it makes me. I did feel sorry for Christian Bale when he went off on that guy, because I actually understood. I understood where he was coming from. He went on a bit long, but he was really in the moment. He's one of those actors that preps. And the guy was telling a joke to his mate in his eye line. So he's doing this really serious scene, and you can see these two guys going, and you know, you don't do that on a film set, but he did go on a bit long. I did feel sorry for him when it came out. I totally agree with Tom Cruise when his rant came out. Tom Cruise was putting millions and millions and millions of dollars right in the middle of COVID, and these two fucking guys weren't wearing masks. And he went off on one. And he was right. I'm sorry, he was right. Because those guys could cost the livelihoods of everybody on that set. I did a series during COVID in Amsterdam. It was the biggest series ever made in Amsterdam at that time. It was called The Spectacular. 3.5 months, the height of COVID. Not one single case of COVID on the crew. Not one single case, because everybody took the precautions and everybody kept working. So I agree with Tom Cruise. So yeah, no, sometimes you do see human side. I mean, sometimes to this day, I can't watch Will Smith in anything. I can't listen to it. If the song comes on the radio, a song that I love, Summertime, I turn it over. Any film that I loved that he was in, can't watch it anymore. After what he did at the Oscars, I thought
Because of the rant?
But no, because of the slap.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God. And, you know, there must have been some PR guy going, oh Jesus, oh Christ, oh Jesus, oh the brand, oh Jesus, oh the brand. It's never going to be said. He destroyed him, and he pretty much destroyed his career. He destroyed his career doing that. And I'm sure that there are many millions of people like myself who just can't watch him anymore. I haven't seen anything he's done since then. I cannot watch him. What made it worse was when he won the Oscar, he didn't apologise. And then he's out partying and dancing with the Oscar. Did nobody think to take him aside and say, mate, you've got a real problem here. Your brand is going right down the fucking toilet. And the longer it goes on without an apology, the worse it's going to be. But he didn't apologise. He didn't apologise for like 36 hours. Not personally to Chris Rock. It was disgraceful. It was absolutely disgraceful. So yeah, you know, it just goes to show you actors are people and they have flaws, same as everybody else. Probably more so. Because some actors do get pandered to. They get treated like royalty wherever they go. They get their every wish granted, and you know, you just need to remember, don't believe your own publicity, don't take it too seriously, because you're just the same as anybody else. You are the same as everybody else. You're just lucky enough to get a job. I need to come back to you, my darling, because we were discussing deaths, and I said to Viper, the death that affected me most on Game of Thrones, and the one that still brings me to tears, Hold the Door. Genius storytelling. We waited 6 years for Hodor to be revealed. Hold the Door. That broke my fucking heart, and every time I see it, I cry. Because it's perfect. The music, the violins, him standing there, watching Bran get away to safety. Jesus Christ, it was heartbreaking, and it was wonderful. And to me, for me, that was the best death in Game of Thrones. By far.
I think we're pretty much out of time. I'm not sure if anybody from the tech people can give us a sign.
Get the fuck off the stage.
I mean, we can go on talking about, okay, yes, thank you very much.
Get off the stage.
Because I wasn't sure if we're keeping anybody from backstage. Do we have one final question? Otherwise, I think this is it.
Listen, I'm here all weekend. I'm here all week, folks. I'm here all week. You see me outside and you have a question for me. Do not hesitate. Come up to me. It's why I'm here. If a question suddenly occurs to you over the weekend, come and see me ask the question. I will be delighted to answer. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. It has been such a pleasure. Can't wait to see you all. It's all this week.